Hello and welcome to Onesies, a podcast of one season. Wonders and blunders. My name's Andrew.
My name is Emily.
And we are working our way through Dracula the series, a 1990 syndicated, would we say masterpiece?
I would say masterpiece, yeah.
Okay. A masterpiece of something. And we are on episode 10? 9 or 10? 10.
And a little nightmare music.
Indeed it is. Indeed. There will be nightmares. So do you have your three things?
Yeah, let's go fanging out. There are a lot of fanging outs in this. Did they fuck? And Scooby-Doo.
Okay. I will go. Okay. I will go with oh my God, complicated shot. We'll talk about that, but I can't go with it because it's table stakes. I don't know if I'm going to remember that when we get to it, but that was funny. And continuity.
Okay.
So we open with Lucard during the day looking over the canal of this town where they shot.
Yeah.
He then turns into a vampire.
A bat.
And
a bat.
He is a vampire. He turns into a bat. Thank you. Yes.
Are you fucking with me? So let me just say, you won already. Because now I'm just expecting everything to be you trying to fuck with me. I shouldn't have told you that. Never reveal your weakness.
Okay. So, no, I'm just trying to remember the shot. So he flies away in the one shot over the canal, but then we cut to, and they were clearly shooting on this bridge that's on the canal because the camera is going to pan and reveal it. But we get to the most complicated shot ever on this show, and it's directed by Renee B, obviously not Alan Eastman. But so the bat, because this is an effect shot, sort of technically, where the bat flies down the canal, the shitty CGI on a VHS edit bat flies down the canal out of the frame, and then the camera moves to this portrait artist packing up for the night, and in walks Lucard into the shot. And at that point, I was just like, this is so impressive. Jordy Johnson must have been like, I've never worked. This must be what it's like working for Steven Spielberg. Like, wow, you moved that camera. That was amazing.
Yeah. And it was pretty. I mean, it was nice to kind of take advantage of the pretty setting that they're in, that they're shooting in.
And it'd be nice if they did that better. This is kind of the first time they've done a good job of it, the whole episode.
Yeah, the whole season.
Because the rest of this season, it's mostly just, I mean, there was that long sequence of Max leading on an old man who he thought was after him for
pervy reasons,
but really the guy was after him for vampire hunting reasons. Episode 3, I believe. Anyway, so this portrait lady's gonna do Lucard's portrait, and then he goes and she takes his Polaroid, and then he doesn't appear in the Polaroid, and he eats her or whatever. And the reason for this is not connected to the episode, but it's to remind us of Polaroids, I think, because those are going to come back later. But I don't remember the last time they were in the show, so you're gonna have to remind me.
And I don't remember either. So
okay, so we cut to the house after the credits, I think,
and we got Rockstar Chris playing like 4 chords on a guitar over and over and over, thinking that he's made some discovery when actually it's "Don't Fade Away" by Buddy Holly, which I can never listen to again because of this. I was hoping that this would go because he's like, oh, I can't believe nobody's ever thought of this before. And it's like, this is the most recognizable little riff on your guitar that I could ever imagine. So I was hoping it was going to come back where he was going to play it play it later and be called out as a cheater, but that didn't happen, unfortunately.
No.
And he's trying to get Gustav and Maximilian excited about him being a rock star, and they just tease him and make fun of him because boys can't actually support other boys because it's the gay F word.
I mean, Gustav supported them when they were trying to pick up on grown women. Gustav was all about that.
And I guess he lets Chris and Sophie do whatever they want to.
Yeah, and it seems like Sophie's back interested in Chris by the end of this episode.
Yeah, it does.
Poor girl. Yes, so Chris is on the guitar, which the show's been threatening the whole time because a shot of it's in the opening titles, and it's just as terrible as I feared. Well, because it also they do rock, music video.
Yeah, like Dutch angles and stuff.
But they're really shitty because it's a shitty show, even if it's filmed someplace nice and they could turn a camera once. It's still, we forgot that. When she runs away from the card, the camera turns and reveals that walkway. So the camera moves, a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. That guy earned his union card if they have them in Canada.
They probably do.
In Luxembourgian Canada. Okay, so yes, Gustav's got toilet paper in his ears that he takes out to say that it's good, but teasing him. And then Max is like, you just want this for babes in spandex, man. And Chris is like, what do you know about babes in spandex?
Gross.
What does that mean? Can you explain that to me?
Well, so spandex is a fabric that is very elastic and it's very hugging. So when a woman, especially in the 1990s, when they were being objectified in music videos and whatnot, when women wear spandex, all of their curves are exposed and any jiggly parts are jiggly. And that is very exciting to some straight men and other people. It is very sexually exciting to people when jiggly parts jiggle.
I was just actually going to more say that this is from 1990 and spandex started to be a thing in 84-ish, 83.
Yeah.
Because you were 2. But yes, that John Travolta, Jamie Lee Curtis movie was 85.
Yeah.
And I think by 90, the babes in music videos were in a lot less than spandex. But anyway, because didn't they have some pervy comment last episode that was worse than this, or a couple episodes ago? I don't know. These guys, we really need the crossover with Free Angel or Free Spirit, where Winnie decides, fuck the patriarchy, and she just kills every guy. And it's just her, Allison Hannigan, and Mia Kirshner living their best life.
I love this. I love this idea.
Right?
Oh my God. I'm writing it.
Right?
I'm writing it and sending it to Corinne Bohrer.
Do it. Chris says, you have stage fright, Chris. You're never going to do it. And then Chris says, I don't have stage fright. I have a fear of audiences. Yeah. Which actually was a profound thing, because is that different? Is fear of public speaking different than fear of people being present for your public speaking?
I would say it's different, because what's worse than being around a ton of people, having nobody there? So public speaking, it can go either way. There can be a whole audience of people who are watching you and judging your every movement, or there can be a fear of nobody coming because what you have to say isn't important or interesting or funny.
Instead, we have a podcast, so it's fine. I was listening to this podcast last night. Sorry, folks, you're gonna see the potato chips made, and they were talking about whatever happened, an old public access show where it was the managers of the public access station sitting around talking about running the public access station. And they were like, we've really lost that. And somebody on the show was like, no, we haven't. There's podcasting.
Yeah.
Okay. So Sophie gets home with her violin. And she's very excited. And Max says something dismissive that involves the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, she says, guess who was at the young whatever thing. Oh my God. And and Max says, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And she's like, no. Contessa Dolores de Suarez y Suarez. I had to look that up.
Oh, is that her actual name? I knew it was Contessa. She's a Spanish jet setter who's a patron of the arts. Oh yeah, Max is actually pretty shitty to her here because she's like, and she's looking for someone smart and cultured and artistic to show her around town. And Max is like, so she picked your friend Giselle, huh? And Sophie's like, she's not my friend, and she picked me. Ha! Giselle is jealous and spiteful. Okay, so basically, if this lady likes Sophie, she might end up playing at the Madrid Symphony.
Yeah.
At the same time, Sophie's rambling on about this. Chris breaks out of the room, interrupting her, saying, oh my God, there's an open call at Fat Eddie's American Rock and Roll Shack. And to which Sophie responds, I don't want to play at some fat guy's shack. And it's just like, this is disingenuous odds. It's the start of Sophie being kind of shitty this episode.
Yeah.
With an asterisk. But it's also like, there's no way she thought that he was suggesting that to her.
Well, and I agree. I think it's a little too much, but I just misread it as she's so caught up in her own excitement. And then he's caught up in his excitement and they're just talking over each other, not even realizing.
I mean, that was the intent.
But I mean, it was not well executed.
No. Renee B can shoot that. He can turn his camera, but he can't really direct these fine performances.
And I was pleased that there was seemingly more. I mean, we talk about they make shitty comments to each other, but in my mind, it was like, oh, there's like more dialogue. There is a little more playful, even if it's playful in a, again, not really good way. I thought it showed a little bit more dimension to the characters. It didn't make me like them any better. But the fact that they could just bounce off of each other in terms of the script was interesting. It was interesting, I guess, compared to all the other shit they've shown.
Chris always gets to die last of the boys.
Yeah.
He always gets to die last. Just because he hasn't been in enough to annoy us enough.
Yeah. Okay. Although this episode is pushing it. This episode is pushing it.
This episode pushes quite a bit. Starting with the wardrobe, because Sophie's going to start wearing some suit jackets.
She starts dressing like a yuppie, and it's the most weird thing I've ever seen.
She is walking down a street next to the canal. They clearly got filming permits for the canal.
Yeah.
And we're very excited with the Countess. The Countess is grooming Sophie. So there you go. And behind them is a car. I desperately wanted the car not to be part of the scene.
Did too.
It ends up being the Countess's car.
I did too, but as soon as she said, like, oh, usually I'm driving around in my limousine, I was like, oh, that's her car. That's too bad.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be like
some pissed off person.
That was really funny. But yeah, it's overtly sexual, which her tension with Sophie and the Contessa. And it was kind of gross because Sophie's 15.
14. Yeah, 14, 15.
And it also made me think like, oh, this is some male fantasy. Because while Lucard can be charming and suave, he's never like laying hands on people like this woman is laying hands on Sophie. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this is, yeah. I mean, it's nice. I mean, when American men tell you they like European women, it's for reasons like this. It's because they're like, because they do gross stuff in Dario Argento movies. And I like it. Okay. Though I don't think I've seen an Argento movie that has this level of grooming in it. Like Suspiria? No, that's not. No, that's about witchcraft, man. Don't be gross. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Do you ever travel, Sophie?
Yeah. Kind of putting on like laying the groundwork for, I'm going to be your patron and da 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 da. Does that shit even still happen? That's like such an like 17th century phenomenon where
it
rich
does
people
still happen.
Why won't anybody do that to me?
We get another nice establishing shot of the town, which is going to be, we're going to have a third one later that brings in Lucard's building too.
Right.
So they clearly got to film on location for a week here, or at least 2 days. Okay, so this is just, I thought we might actually get some backstory on Sophie here, but we don't.
No.
We still don't know why she's there.
But she says, when she's asked about if she's ever traveled, she said, I want to, but this is my home. And it's like, if this is your home, why are you living with some strange man? Where are your parents? Why do we never see your parents? Why do we never see your grandparents?
Why did you start calling him Uncle Gustav?
Why did you start? Yeah. Why did you start calling him Uncle Gustav? It's very strange.
Are the other boys actually his nephews? Because they were in the pilot, but now it just seems like
he's just Helsing's home for wayward children, for annoying fucking youth. Kids.
Okay, so they get in the car. Oh, money is common, Sophie, but talent is rare.
Yeah.
And then they get in the car and they drive off, and she's got a meeting to get to. A meeting with Lucard, where we get another shot of the city and the camera pans over to show that building is there, which means we should look it up and see if that building is still there. And we could fly to Luxembourg to do a tour.
Get our pictures taken in front of it.
Industries. Oh, we should see if it's still there and ask them to fly us over to record live there. Like nobody else. We're professional American podcasters.
Yeah, nobody would know.
Nobody would know. Okay, so all right, we get a business meeting, but it's a nonsense business meeting.
Yeah,
between Lucard and the Contessa. She wants money for one of her charities. Lucard says he's overextended. Talk to my guy. So this is the first time we've established that Lucard's having business problems, even if he's just lying to her. Because the rest of the time, even though we've talked about his business, it's never really, it seems like he's just growing. It seems like Lucard Industries is doing well. This is the first time he's ever implied he might not be doing well.
So I didn't see it that way. I saw it as, I'm too busy. I don't have enough time to do this with you, but you can talk to my guy.
So he's overextended in terms of time and attention. Okay.
Except he can sit and have a very casual meeting drinking champagne with this woman and making eyes at her.
Vampires can't drink champagne. They throw it up. That's what I say. Okay. But then she's like, oh, come on, Lucard. This is a bit impersonal. Like, don't you remember that we had 2 brief dances at a charity ball nearly a year ago? And he's like, oh, I remember. Maybe you should come to my castle and stay there. And she's like, I couldn't impose. This is another one of those episodes where you just write down the dialogue. Yeah. And then he says, you can stay longer than you like. And she doesn't register anything with that.
And she's like, okay.
She's like, I'm overwhelmed. And he's like, I was hoping you would be overwhelmed. Hashtag romance. Oh, God. Okay. Chris in front of his mirror, prepping for his show.
He's not only practicing and playing the stupid song over and over, but what he's doing is tuning up his banter with the audience.
He is.
And it is a bit much, folks.
I don't see, when I was a kid, I knew Beverly Hills 90210 was bad, but I never acknowledged that it was actually nowhere near as bad as it could have been.
Yeah.
Okay. And that episode where the kid kills himself is really good. One of shitty Brian Austin Green's, speaking of groomers, friends finds his dad's gun and is playing with it, and he kills himself. And it was
I
like
vaguely
some kid,
remember this.
They'd introduced 3 episodes before, so it actually had emotional impact.
Yikes.
Yeah. I think it was their very, very special episode of the year or whatever. You get to rerun that and then you don't have to do a PSA. Okay. So Chris is like, oh, okay, let's give it up for my band. And he's like, oh, but I don't have a band. Oh, let me play you a song from my next record. Oh, but I don't have a record. This is hopeless. But then Sophie comes in and he's like, Sophie, let me try playing this for you. And she's like, I don't have time. And then
he insists.
He insists, but he also like completely shifts over to his Canadian accent.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? You don't have time. So a boot was there. But anyway, just imagine I'm Joe Flannery. Flannery. Just imagine I'm Joe Flannery O'Connor. That's a crossover not with Canada Joe, but with Little Women. So there you go.
Wow.
You don't have to cut this part out.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm mugging a little bit too much because you're not talking enough. I'm going to blame it on you.
I'm sorry. Blame it on me. Okay. Where were we?
Vain Sophie looking at herself in the mirror.
Yeah. So she's too busy checking herself out because this beautiful, rich, noble woman wants to fuck her. And Chris gets kind of ticked off at her because she's not actually paying attention to him, even though she said she didn't have time to.
So then he tries it out on Max, who also says he's busy or something.
And then doesn't he end up doing it? No, he doesn't. That's later. Sorry. I don't know where Gustav is.
Yeah.
And then we cut.
He's such a bad vampire hunter.
Yeah.
He's so bad at it. What do they do? They don't do anything. Yes, then we cut to Sophie and the Contessa. Wait. No, this is Max reading about the arts because the Contessa told him to, implying that the boys have met the Contessa.
Yeah.
Even though that's never part of the a little, but not enough. And then my note for this is, and Chris is like, oh, would you go to dinner with Lucard if she told you to? And Max is like, no. And my note is, oh, she's got you reading like some kind of asshole here. Reading a book? What a prick. Okay, so cut to dinner with Lucard.
Right.
And his assistant, Marquette, who I don't know if that guy gets any lines.
I don't think so, no.
Lucard gets a message and this is with the Contessa. And Marquette's the guy who handles all the charity shit. Lucard gets called away. Do we even find out why? I kept waiting for him. Yeah. I kept waiting for him to have something.
I thought it was going to be that he was setting her up to get vampired. But obviously that wasn't the case.
Because
the door she closes the door after Lucard leaves, is approached by Marquette and turns around and fangs out.
Yep. Fangs out.
Now
and
this
he leans in. Did you notice him lean in?
Mm-hmm.
So my first thought is they've already turned her or something.
Yeah.
Which is not what it'll be, but that was my first thought.
Because even though I noticed that they didn't cut to him, I thought he was fanging out too. But we find out later, Marquette doesn't check in with Lucard. So does that mean Marquette was a human that was...
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know
For some reason, Lucard employed a human to deal with the charity stuff.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, is the implication there that Lucard keeps like some young stud around and keeps some human to like chat up the society ladies for like?
I have no idea.
Because it also seems like, because he's like, you can talk to Marquette as if you were dealing with me.
Yeah,
take care of her, won't you?
And that made me think
you're going to turn into a vampire.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. So it's a really poor bait and switch then, because he wasn't speaking in innuendo, and what he was saying and realistically doesn't make any sense, really, or his stressing that, which the show is full of that bullshit innuendo stuff, and it drives me crazy. But did they fuck? note because it seemed like they were fanging out together. And I was like, and she's already got this, she's hypersexualized, right? She's just very, very DTF. And so it looked like they were going to fuck. I was like, oh, is this some, then I was like, is this some rent boy, like some call boy?
Well, and then you're like, did Lucard change her at the charity ball? Like, does he know she's a vampire? Are they just fucking, like, are they all just all a bunch of, is it a vampire orgy? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And it's none of those things.
Yeah.
Nothing. Okay.
Nothing.
So we then cut to Sophie and the Contessa at lunch during the day. So Lucard can go out during the day because he has super powerful sunscreen. That guy who betrayed Gustav could be out during the day because he wasn't a full vampire. Presumably, Psychic's husband could be out during the day because he wasn't a full vampire. Mom wasn't a full vampire yet. This chick is a full vampire. How is she out during the day?
So I don't know. I keep going back to the thing that you had said early on, which is that they, in the book, they can go out in the sunshine. They don't have their powers. So they can't, mind meld with you. They can't fly around. They can't change forms.
Yeah.
So I just keep sticking with that. And maybe that's just what makes me feel good. No, noticing that they're out in the daytime, and
just like, this is just such good continuity with Bram Stoker's Dracula.
It's just such good continuity.
It's like Gary Oldman. How did they not get Jordy Johnson for that? Okay. So my other note for this scene before she starts talking about Spain being a different world and a part of Africa was that she's touching Sophie a lot.
Yeah, fixing her scarf around, like one of those short scarves that's right up by her neck. Touching her, like at some point, and I don't know if it's in this scene or if it's later, she grabs Sophie on the chin in sort of a cute way, and it's real creepy. If a complete stranger started touching me like that, I would not be excited.
You don't play the violin.
Fair enough.
Also, imagine the Stockholm syndrome Sophie's under living with Gustav. Like, she's primed for psychological abuse. She said to be nice to Max and Chris.
Yeah.
She probably lost her virginity to Chris. This girl's not living her best life right now, okay? Okay. So then somehow Lucard comes up, and Sophie's like, ew, not Lucard. Don't tell me you're impressed by billionaires. And the Contessa says, impressed is not the word. In fact, I'm staying at his castle.
You got that wrong. It was the other way. The Countess says, based on Sophie's reaction, the Countess says, you're not impressed by billionaires. And she's like, impress isn't the word I'd use.
Right. It's a revulsion thing. I'm sorry. I forgot. The Contessa is going to be old money and not like these new people.
Right.
Gilded Age reference. Gilded Age. Very good. Much better than this show. Okay. So then there's the Contessa thinks Sophie's upset that she's staying with Lucard because she thinks Sophie's jealous that they're having sex, and she assures her that they're not having sex.
Yeah. There's no impropriety, she says.
It's a very appropriate thing to talk to a 15-year-old stranger about.
Yeah.
Gustav's doing a bang-up job as a guardian here. Just bang-up job. In the reboot, Gustav's just scamming foster care. That's his whole bit. Fuck him. Okay, so and then Sophie says, if I told you something that I believe but can't prove, what do you think? And she's like, well, as long as it's not any gossip, because I couldn't bear to hear anything childish. So Sophie says, never mind.
Yeah.
So then we cut back to the house where...
This is where Gustav, again with toilet paper stuffed into his ears, is listening to Chris's song. with a seemingly unimpressed look on his face. And Chris finishes this dreadful song and asks, "What do you think?" And just based on his face, I think Chris is like, "Oh, that bad, huh?" And Gustav pulls the things from his ears and is like, "That was so good." And this is a thing, I can't tell if he's being serious or if he's just really fucking with the kid.
So I think it's just the actor having a moment where they can't escape the reality of themselves. And he's just like, dude, I was on stage playing, he's just sitting there thinking about how he played Hamlet once and somebody fucking cried. And he's just like, what am I doing? I don't even like my toilet doesn't work. My toilet in the hotel's backed up, and it's just to pretend that this kid's good. Like, yeah, he has this totally disapproving face. And then Chris is like, oh, you didn't like it. He's like, you're going to rock the house down.
You're going to rock the house down.
Chris is like, rock the house down? And Gustav's like, yes, I'm hip to the slang.
Yeah.
Far out, daddy-o. And I'm like, I guess it worked in the 90s because there was still a sort of throwback to late 50s, early 60s stuff. But that shit went out real fast when you think about it. Like, I even remember I don't know if it was as late as 2000, it might have been, the oldies station in Chicago stopped playing 50s stuff. They dropped a whole decade of music. And you're just like, oh, that cultural history is now gone. It's not anymore because we have YouTube. And it's not, curated in the same, it's not commercially curated in the same way. It's commercially monetized in a different way, but it's, curated. You're listening to a podcast about a terrible show that no one should watch, yet we are watching it, lovingly describing how fucking gross the 90s were week after week. Though not as gross as Free Angel or Free Spirit. I don't think that Chris and Max would rape and kill a girl. Those two fuckers on Free Spirit, every other episode, that was
gleefully.
Just dad being like, I told you to get a blonde this time. What? Oh. Okay. Sorry, everyone. Go listen to the first season. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Coming in. Sophie's downstairs. She runs in, starts packing stuff up.
Right.
From Gustav's. So Gustav is a master vampire killer. All of his vampire killing gear fits in a backpack, or no, a small cupboard, B, then in a backpack.
Yeah.
That's it. That's his best gear. Now, vampire hunting gear, by this, they mean a bottle of holy water, which I'm pretty sure you can get more than just a bit. A cross, which I'm pretty sure you can buy a bag of 100 popsicle sticks and have 50 crosses in an afternoon. And a single stake. World's full of fucking vampires. Gustav's got one stake to take care of these bitches.
And not even a crossbow or anything. You have to, manpower.
Yep. It's like they're on the budget, like the technological budget of Bela Lugosi, Dracula, but they think they're Teenage Ninja Turtles or something. Like, they're like, no, this is all you need. What are you talking about? This is great gear. And it's like, I bet it's not. We've already had 90. I don't know. I think some of the fascination with Blade 8 years later was that he used a lot of gadgets and gear. So I guess we hadn't really had ninja stars versus vampires yet. No.
Well, and Chris Christopherson was making all that weird, wacky gear.
Right.
That was pretty.
There was that one Dracula movie, Dracula versus the Seven Brothers. So Kung Fu versus Dracula. I don't know if they used but the genre had not gotten to where it is now, where I don't know what they had on Buffy, grooming and sexual harassment and whatever happened with the one girl who I don't want to look up because I'm afraid the story's just going to be too upsetting. And then a lot of Republicans because Sarah Michelle Gellar is a Republican. MAGA. Anyway, so then she also takes the pictures, the Polaroids that Max took of Lucard from Gustav's desk drawer. What are they talking about?
I have no idea. I do not remember this existing. And I don't know how they could exist because it would just be the same Polaroid that we saw earlier where there was just the canal.
Yeah.
I have no clue.
But I'm not missing something. This was not a huge plot point.
No, I don't remember it. I don't remember it.
I wonder if next episode Chris will take some Polaroid pictures of Dracula.
I have no clue.
Or Max. And then Chris will get a guitar at the end of the episode and they'll be like, next time I'm going to play the guitar. Oh no, we watched it out of order. It's spoiled. Okay. So then the boys come downstairs and they're like, oh no, she took all your great stuff, Gustav. And then they take the pictures and they're like, oh, she took the only proof we have that Lucard's a vampire. And then they're like, where would Sophie go? And Sophie is at the castle, hanging out with the Contessa, showing her the Polaroids. And she says, no one believes us, but you have to. I don't feel like... I feel that in the world of Dracula, the series, a not insignificant number of people of import know vampires are real.
Right.
All of Lucard's vampires, right? Which you would presume is all of his, higher ups and his, top level managers and maybe even some of the middle managers. Those are all vampires all around the world fucking killing people.
Yeah.
All the time. Klaus was hunting and taking people he wasn't supposed to, whatever. Mr. Boffin's making anti-vampire weapons, so he knows vampires are real. So I feel like you can't just say no one would believe us in this thing. You're telling them about what a good deal crypto is, and maybe they are in the know. So the Contessa says, I do believe you, my dear Sophie.
But she also makes it clear that she didn't realize Alexander Lucard was a vampire until this moment.
Yes.
She's like, what? She had no idea, which again seems unlikely because he is a famous vampire.
He is Dracula.
He is Dracula.
Which I don't think ever comes up either, which is interesting. Okay. No. So Lucard. Okay, so no wait. The boys are running. How did the boys? Okay, I skipped ahead in my notes. Sorry.
So they deduce that she's at the castle. So they are running through the castle looking for her and talking about how big it is. And this is again, there's some banter going on, like some back and forth that I don't want to say I'm impressed by, but it just makes it a little bit more interesting. And this is where I had Scooby-Doo, because this very much, these scenes with them running through the hallways reminded me of episodes of Scooby-Doo where people are appearing from doors they shouldn't be and running across
especially hallways. Since the shots out into the hallway, so they're like running past.
It was really silly.
Once again, they have no trouble getting into Lucard's castle.
No,
even though in the first episode we established he has monsters around the house. So they run through the house. Max says something about a giant violin, that he sees a cello.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Max is dumb. That's
he's been studying about the symphony because the Contessa told him to, and he still doesn't know what a cello is. Well.
Okay. So Lucard interrupts Contessa and
Sophie.
And pretty soon we have a vampire fight. Contessa calls Lucard a peasant.
Yes. Again, she's old money.
And then she hits him with a force lightning punch.
Which he just kind of gets up and dusts himself off of. Like, it looks fierce and her hair is kind of frizzed out a little bit. But he just kind of gets up and like wipes himself off. And
well, yeah, because like she's not a threat. Like, this is weird that you would think he would know of a vampire of her stature in the world. You'd think she'd know of him, but no, she has no idea he's a vampire, even though he's
the vampire.
Dracula.
He's the vampire.
He's the Dracula.
Yeah.
And we didn't get an autograph. So we do some talking mist. I think that's the first time. We get, more force lightning and big hair. So then she's like, "You are old, Lucard. I am going to take all of this." And then he's like, "Oh, I'm just going to fucking stake you. I don't give a shit."
Yeah.
And she seems surprised that he's going to kill her. He's just like, "Well,
you're threatening him."
What did you think he was going to do? Yeah. And so she got it out of Sophie's bag. He gets it out of Sophie's bag, which is on the table. But my thing was, he just has table stakes around.
Yeah.
Get it? Table stakes?
Table stakes.
Yeah. It was funny when I wrote it down. But no, he got it out of the bag. Okay, and then she teleports away into...
she turns into fairy dust?
Multiple glittery things. Yeah. To return to another episode. And then Sophie's like, "You saved me." Mr.
Which,
Lucard.
again, I thought it was weird. I thought it was weird that she was like, "Oh, Lucard, after all of this." When in the pilot, he was all like, "Oh, 15-year-old girl, your skin is so perfect. Blah, blah, blah." It's like, he wants to do bad things to your body.
See, if she was under the spell of the lady at this point, there's excuses, but that doesn't make excuses for what is going to happen in a little bit.
No.
So he's going to go destroy the little friend of Gustav Helsing. And then he says, he is not some third-rate princess with more ambition than sense. But then the boys come in, they stick out their crosses, and that's all it takes to take care of Dracula.
Yep.
Because he's never going to think of anything to do except turn into a bat, or bats, because he turns into a bunch of them, and flies away. And so then Gustav checks Sophie's neck, and they go home. Okay, let us talk.
Let us.
About the final scene.
Okay.
Chris's performance.
Yes.
In an empty restaurant. And I was like, "Oh, wow, they couldn't get anybody else for the scene." And then I'm like, well, they got a bartender.
Yeah.
But actually, nobody being there is part of the plot. Nobody showed up for Fat Eddie's American Rock and Roll Shack Saturday night rock concert. Then we cut outside to the Contessa with another kid. Giselle. She's doing the grooming thing.
And she's doing all the same shit. Yep.
And then as they walk past the window, the Contessa looks in longingly at Sophie. Sophie, who is wild for Chris now, because he is a rock star. So my final note, besides that the song's title is apparently "Love is Like a Factory," my final note is choose unrewarding heterosexuality.
Yeah, it's pretty gross how she's been very confused and hesitant about American culture as it's described by these two boys. And now suddenly she's swooning over this kid. It made very little sense to me.
Just the show seems like its long arc is going to be turning Sophie into a terrible character. But who knows? I mean, they've got to remember this for next week. And I still think next week's going to be out of order, and there's a Polaroids and guitar subplot. But yeah, it was. I think I enjoyed the psychic episode more.
Really? I don't know.
Well, that one was more mean-spirited, but this one, when it's creepy or when it's unsettling, it's unsettling because it's about grooming a 15-year-old girl.
Yeah.
That's sort of the...
Yeah.
But in a way to make it an appealing subplot for grown men. Like...
Yeah.
It's... Yeah. it's about, some Contessa seducing my daughter. What? Like, yeah, it's icky bad. And it's kind of the icky baddiest the show's let itself get, because it really is not. I mean, the one with Max and the older woman was a joke. Like, I mean, it was gross because Gustav's a pig, but it's 1990 and they're a bunch of fucking straight men. Like, yeah, they're going to be piggy. But this was like, you got to think about this for a second.
Yeah.
It's like, why do I have to think about this on my children's program?
Ugh.
So nice opening shot, though.
Yeah, agreed. I don't know that I liked the psychic episode better, but there have definitely been better episodes of
there was a
show.
cute bunny in the psychic episode.
I guess. And when the cute bunny was there, we didn't have to listen to Lane speak anymore. Next week's episode 11, we will have halfway through that episode, we will have made it halfway through the season. It's called Get a Job. Get a Job, Andrew.
So is it talking about Gustav, Max, Chris, or Sophie? Or does Lucard lose his fortune and he needs to get a job? Or
do you want me to answer the question?
No, I don't. I want it to be a surprise for me and the listener. I want everyone to just savor not knowing.
Okay, great.
Savor your ignorance for another week. Yes. So, yeah. Okay. I don't know. Watch Fright Night 2 if you want to watch something about a seductive Contessa. Like, don't watch this.
Fair enough.
Age appropriate too.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't have any recommendations for watching things about a sexy Contessa. So I guess with that, we will see you next week, folks. Thank you for listening.
I'll see you in television land, Emily.
I'll see you in television land, Andrew.